Hello everyone, Cassie McClenahan here with Patriot Property Management and my partner Brian Gubernick. Today I wanted to ask Brian, a very good real estate investor, a couple questions. How do I evaluate a property to see if it makes good sense to buy as a rental?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I'm going to give you, I guess, what goes on in my mind when I'm looking at rental properties or properties I would consider to purchase for long-term hold. All right. So first and foremost, it's probably important that I clarify when I look at rental properties, I do think long-term hold, which means a year, 2 years, maybe decade. For me personally, I don't sell real estate. I acquire real estate and I look to hold it indefinitely. So my mindset is indefinite in terms of holding period. That being said, first thing I'm going to look at is the cash flow of the property or projected cash flow, meaning that if I have a mortgage and other expenses as my outflow, what's my inflow? In other words, what am I going to get for rent? So if I'm getting $2,000 for rent, but I've got $1,500 going out every month, I'm making $500. How does that fit into my overall financial picture and my passive income picture, what I want to do in terms of accumulating wealth? So number one, I want to look at cash flow. Number two, I should say 1A and 1B. 1B would be the rate of return. So you can calculate your rate of return, and in doing so, you can compare it against other investment opportunities. So let's say my rental property is potentially going to make me 3% return, but I know maybe being in a different investment, like at the stock market or whatever it may be, which may come with different risk, but maybe I could be into that for 7 or 8 or 9%. That doesn't necessarily mean I take the higher rate, but I am looking at rate of return so that I can compare against other investment vehicles. Now, specific to the property, things I like to see. I want to know what's going on in the surrounding area, specifically businesses. Like what's going on in that business environment? Are we seeing a thriving community? Are we seeing a lot of employment, right? Are there some really good anchor tenants nearby? Is there a close supermarket? Are there, close gas stations? Are there things that matter to tenants? Because when I rent my property, I want it to be as marketable as possible. And the more distance from great businesses and a business community, sometimes the more challenge we have in renting properties. I think about access to medical care, right? The reality is we have an aging population and there is a need, probably more so than ever before, to have access to medical care. So what's the nearest hospital? What urgent cares are around? These things actually matter to tenants. We're seeing it more and more now where our tenants want to know what's the proximity of these types of services. I think about crime rate. Naturally, I want to be in a place that has lower crime, right? Because properties, and I don't think we've ever had this case with respect to all the properties we've managed, but it's not entirely uncommon for property damage, things of that nature. Crime rates impact rental rates, like your ability to rent, the rent that you could charge, as well as the quantity and quality of tenants you may attract. Last thing that comes to mind for me, I look at local education. What's the schools? What are the schools around there? Meaning that is there proximity to schools, but also schools and universities, education, they're employers as well. They also indicate a more educated community, right? So more educated might be higher paying jobs, which mean they're willing to pay more rent. And so there's a lot of variables to consider. We could go on and on and on, but those are really kind of the big things that I look at when I'm evaluating rental properties.
If you're considering buying a rental property and you want more information or you want to know specifically what something will rent for, please reach out to us. We're happy to provide that free of charge.